What is going on, Coffee Nation? We're going to be doing a team review. So this is actually my first Maddening run, first completed Maddening run, and this is a team that I used, and this was a blind run. So, all right, let's go over the units. There's definitely a lot of mistakes that were made in this team comp, and even just like passives. This is before the well. This was like as soon as the game shipped. This was my first completed run. All right, so on a Lear, we have Griffin Knight, which I honestly kind of don't recommend, but it's not bad, especially now with the well. I would say initially it wasn't the best thing, it was strong, but now that the well is a thing, arguably it's better because you can get sword or lance power to offset any damage you would lose from raw strength. But this isn't a bad option. I actually ran Avoid plus 15 and Canter plus, so I could like dive in and attack things. So this was decent. This was one of my best units, Alir, definitely overfed. Then we had Marin on Wyvern, and she was my bonder. So she has A rank with Chloe and Alir. And who else does she have A rank with? Let's see. Let's look at her supports. We can actually check that out here. Let's go to reference support. She at least has those two. Oh yeah, also Rosado. So I did run Rosado in this run. So she has actually a lot of supports. She has really good supports too. So she's not a bad unit for Lucina. But she actually was one of my better units for sure. She had high speed, and this is with speed plus 2. She's this high of speed. She had high speed. I ran Canter on her. She could consistently double. Her damage could have been better, but I could have built her better. But she was Lucina Bonder, and she did really well. She was one of my better units. These two are really strong. And then we have Chloe. She was really good. She had pretty decent stats. Her damage could have been better. The only thing she really struggled with was raw damage. I don't know why I gave her health plus 10 or hit plus 20. I don't know why I gave Chloe, who has high dex, hit plus 10, not hit plus 20. But she performed well on Sigurd and was one of my hard carries. I just needed to fix her damage, so I kind of just wasted her SP here. But these units are pretty good. It's interesting to see like what weapons I ran, like the Steel Lance plus 5. So I'm looking back at this like a month after I've done it. So this is like kind of like a retrospective. And then I ran Liberation. I ran Georgios for Lodestar rushing, so you can one round with that. A lot of people caught on to this. This was something that a lot of people ended up doing. Not that I was the one who figured it out. I think most people just figured it out. Then we had, Armor Slayer. I didn't even plus it. That was dumb. The 11 sword is low. The silver sword is only plus 2. Bolgano, no engraving on Ivy. I did give her speed plus, and I kept her on Lyn so she could double consistently. She did have an engraving on Excalibur, so she could accurately shoot down flyers, which did kind of help. She was one of my, these were my power carries. They basically were like in a bonded shield, always doing everything. I had Panette on Wolf Knight for some reason. I don't know what the thought process was here. She basically did no damage and was kind of terrible. Gold Mary, I switched over to Bow Knight just to deal extra like bow damage to the flyers in the final mission, because there was like when I was first doing the final mission, it kept taking me too long because my team couldn't efficiently kill everything to nuke the boss down. I didn't understand how to beat the boss by like one rounding him with crazy units. So I was like trying to beat it legit, and I like as you kill all the emblems, the map starts spamming flyers. So I made both Chimera and Gold Mary Bow Knights randomly. So this was not good and did not work out well at all. I mean, they still contributed and were useful, but it was not that good of a strategy, and they both fell off hard. But Chimera and Gold Mary didn't level up at all in this particular run, so they both kind of ended up being terrible. Same thing with Panette. I made her a Wolf Knight for some reason to fix her speed. But yeah, that was bad. And then Veil, I just upgraded her Tome and gave her Canter and hit plus 20. I don't know why I gave her hit plus 20. I feel like just with this, she should be accurate enough. Some of the endgame enemies are quite fast and quite hard to hit, so she did have accuracy issues. And she only levels up so much. Like, she only went from level 35 to almost 39 from beating the game, so she doesn't really level up much. Then we have Hortensia, who I basically just used as a staff bot who would situationally help with damage. I gave her health plus 7, so if she did get hit, she could tank a single hit because she has high speed. I gave her Canter for utility. This was like the Canter run. I gave everyone Canter. It was nice, like it did help. I think I didn't min-max the upgrades very well, and that's really what hurt me. But yeah, then we have Saline. She did okay. Her speed is terrible without help, so she never doubled anything. And then we have Saphir, who was basically just a longbow, steelbow user who would sometimes go for crits. I did have... Apparently I got Wrath on her. Looks like I was running some kind of Vantage Wrath thing here. Or maybe I unlocked that for a guide afterwards. I don't think she was running this. I think I had like Hit Plus on her. And then Sadal. This is one of the things that sticks, that's like viable. Like Cancer Plus on a Dancer at quality time. This is really solid. You can't go wrong with this. He doesn't have an art though, which is weird. He should have a shielding art or something. There's no reason not to. Alright, so there's those units. Let's switch. There's 2 more that I ran. So this is like my first impression of Lapis as well. So Lapis on Griffin felt really weak and underwhelming, and it was really frustrating using her because I feel like I just kept not dealing damage. I should have put her on Lances and she probably would have been fine. But I didn't know it. Like, I mean, I should have known that because like Lances are better than swords for damage. But I think her build is still really low. Yeah, build of 6, so if she was on Wyvern, she would have been better, for sure. And then Rosado, he always had to issue doubling, so he could just hit kind of hard once, but he kind of fell off too. And then the build for Lapis, Cancer, and then Staff. I just made her a Staff bot at some point, so she just became a Staff bot. And then for Rosado, I gave him Hit Plus because Axes are inaccurate, and then Cancer. So a lot of he should be on Lances. He already starts off with Lances. You should just put him on Lances so you can take advantage of his actually decent speed. 28 speed. And then go that, like, you know, double down on the speed. Give him a speedy emblem. But his build was terrible. And I did not play into his strengths. He should be on Lances. Maybe Swords. And I did not play into her strengths. So a lot of these units were just literally terrible. And it was a chore. It was like a small nightmare to beat the game. Because I only had like a few good units that were these ones. A good utility. And then like the rest of my team was just terrible. I evenly distributed XP too much, and it really hurt me. So, yeah. So this is my first team. These were originally, like, she was on Hero and she was on Picket, but she was underleveled. Like, if you run a full roster, you will have underleveled combat units, and then you will think those units are bad. And that's typically what happens to units that, you know, are just... people think fall off, so, like, people think Chimera is bad, but it's just... she's probably just underleveled. It's really that simple. Same thing with Gold Mary. Same thing with anyone. If someone's underleveled, they're going to seem bad. And in this case, my entire team was underleveled because everyone got XP evenly, and I was really particular about feeding everyone. I had just done 3 houses Maddening challenge run before this, so I prioritized Canter because 3 houses is very player phase. There are enemy phase builds in 3 houses, but I was doing a skip-only challenge where you skip Seminar... you skip, like, you only can skip or rest. You can't do any battle, any explore, or any seminar. So you're extremely limited in terms of resources, and in terms of gold, and in terms of, like, recruitment. And I was on, like, a very player phase. Like, everyone has Canter because I was thinking about everything in terms of player phase at this time. Because I had just done, like, a 100-hour playthrough where all you're doing is player phase killing things and cantoing. So... that definitely didn't help me. That actually hurt me. I was like, oh, I'll do this challenge to prepare for this game. It actually hurt me because I wasn't like thinking in terms of enemy phase for my first run at all. But I was able to beat it with Cancer spam, and it kind of worked out, so it's whatever. But yeah, that's my first team. I felt like going through... I'll do the second one as well. I just kind of did the third one for the that DLC run. I have like 3 teams that are on chapter 23. I just need to get around to beating it. I just don't enjoy running those teams. I just find that like the builds... I experimented on all those runs, and I just don't find the teams enjoyable to use because the builds are dumb. So I might just delete those saves and just redo like playthroughs with different things. But yeah, that's it for this one. Definitely like and subscribe if you enjoyed this or found this interesting. And feel free to drop a comment as to how your first Maddening run went. This was a completely blind run. I didn't look up growths. I didn't look up theory crafting. I went in completely blind, knowing literally nothing about any of the things aside from some, get like reveal videos where they're like, this is what Sigurd does, like stuff like that. And of those, I watched like 3 of them because they just kept releasing them, and I just like, all right, this is too many. So, and I also didn't want to spoil everything. But this was a completely blind run. I also didn't really think too much about the emblem stats and the emblem abilities, and there were like things I would just straight up ignore. So I didn't really play around. Like Lunar Brace was something that wasn't even on my radar in my first run. I was like, whatever. Because like there are so many abilities that if you're just trying to beat the maps, you might not notice things unless you dive in and actually read every single little ability and look at all the weapons and all these things. So I would say the first Maddening run is kind of like an information dump, where there's just all these new characters, all these passives, all these abilities, and, it can be a lot, especially when you're just trying to beat the maps, and that's all you're really focused on. But yeah, that's it for this one. Peace.